Hello, my fellow gamers. Welcome back to Comfortable Gaming. Atomic Heart is finally out, and we're doing this little review of should you play it on Game Pass, should you check this game out. And if you're new to the channel, we do everything Xbox Game Pass. Do subscribe, it helps me a lot on the channel to bring you more videos like this. And let's just get straight into it and talk about Atomic Heart. And first points I want to talk about is just how the game drops you into this little intro or prologue of kind of the setting you'll be in and kind of world you kind of experiencing. And if you play the games like Wolfenstein, it's kind of that mixture of what happened if, let's say, the Nazis won World War II, and then how the world kind of goes on after that. That's what Wolfenstein is. And in this way, it's like, what if the Soviets won World War II? What kind of technology and things would that be? So you kind of comrade this, comrade that. It's all about what the Soviets, and everything's been taken over by technology, and it's been advanced to quite an extent. And the world are kind of living peacefully as robots control and do everything and help people. And it's just like a great era of technology and things like that. So you kind of dropped into the complete USSR Soviet Union, and you kind of follow this Doctor who's created everything. And Dr. Sakinov is this brilliant scientist who's created a special thing which is called polymer, which is that kind of glove you'll be using. But we'll get to that later in the video when it comes to combat and gameplay. And as you walk through around the town, seeing different NPCs interacting with the world and kind of what you kind of getting you into, the way everything's built around, it's obviously emphasized quite red and everything. And I just love the details of things like this in a game, as it's really completely that Soviet style, which is really cool. So this game's biggest thing for me is Drovian. It's just kind of the idea and kind of setting and art style so far this game has taken, and just being so robotic in Soviet Russia and Soviet everything being taken over. And as you walk around and you experience through all of this, it's so intriguing to me. And I think this is one of its strong suits of Atomic Heart. I'll elaborate a little bit more in the video of how everything is built in this world, to the huge buildings, and kind of really sets you up and builds a really strong suit and atmosphere in the game. One thing I want to bring up, if you just saw that facial animation now, and the characters, I feel like a lot of them have been reused now as I've been walking around, and I'm paying attention to these, like this dude right here, and then you go all the way back just a few down, and then you pretty much got the same face again. So I know I'm nitpicking a little bit, but it's just a lot of reused faces and stuff. But again, it is not a AAA game. And going in, you kind of figure out what your polymer arm does and kind of explaining what it does a little bit and things like that. And immediately you find out in this game how weird these robots and kind of the tone of this game, what it
Created
is.
your glove with scanner functionality. Using the neuropolymer as a conduit, the sensors in your glove are now directly connected to your neural system.
And this is where kind of a funny twist immediately in the intro kind of the game explains. There's a lot of moments where are a little bit serious into kind of what's going on, and then there's just this like comedic constant tone in the game that just gets thrown at you completely in the game. And they kind of explain what polymer and all these things can do, but there's always this wacky side to your character and to the glove you kind of interact with, which you will find out as you play throughout the game. You constantly like bicker with the glove you wear, because it does speak to you and give you interaction. So I kind of feared weird completely throughout the whole game, how the game kind of tries to be funny but serious at the same time. It's kind of a mixture of both, which I didn't mind to an extent. It just, I felt it was a little bit cheesy and a little bit corny at a lot of the times. And I think the pacing of where the comedy should have been, I think it's a little bit too much, and some tones I feel like the game should have been less of that. But where it really shines is the whole atmosphere of each location you explore, to this beginning prologue of kind of as you explore in the city and going then the design of everything is really done well, and it keeps you interested. What is this? You go through this location, and Atomic Heart's biggest key points is selling this whole atmosphere in this whole Soviet Union, and the whole presentation of it is done so well, especially at the beginning when you go through the square and kind of seeing this whole world and things like that. It's so fascinating. And especially in the part where you get in the car in the beginning of the game and it just kind of picks you up and takes you up in the sky. I thought this car was going to get driven, and then all of a sudden the car starts flying. And I think that's the biggest strong suit throughout this game. It never really drops its atmosphere and its feel of what the world should be, and the level designs and the designs of each detail. I don't want to spoil anything, go too far of the game, because I want people to experience this, because it's a lot of moments that are really cool in this game. And just right from the get-go to the end of the game, moments like this throughout the whole game, cutscenes and things as you go. And it's so cool of just how it mixes Bioshock, Wolfenstein, and a little bit of Fallout in there, but mostly like that Bioshock and Wolfenstein mix, which is really cool. And the whole presentation of this game and everything is for me a 10 out of 10, how it portrays everything, artwork to the style. Graphically, it's a really good looking game. It's nothing going crazy next gen like these are the next best graphics, but the game looks completely solid. There's nothing really wrong graphically, and I didn't find any faults throughout the game. Frame rate drops too much or anything like that. And now the game completely, as you fly off, you get attacked completely by the robots, and this is where the game now completely takes off and takes a crazy turn. As I said, as the crazy comedy in between to the crazy moments and things like that just keep you really engaged, which I really loved. The comedy, you will like or not like how robots and you interact with the world. It can be a little cringy, I feel like, at times, because a lot of the times the game can take itself a little bit serious and then a little bit too comedic at times. But a good opening, and you kind of realize that the robots have kind of lost it completely, and they attack their own, and the AI is completely gone crazy. And obviously these Soviets did not listen to Elon Musk that AI is very dangerous.
Mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes. I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads.
And now you realize as you come to the research facility 3286 that everything's completely gone wrong, and Dr. Shakinov's robots and things have kind of gone completely crazy. And that's the main reason you've been sent here, to investigate this. Comrade Major Nechayev, who's Dr. Shakinov's pretty much personal agent and things like that. And it kind of sets up everything really nicely. And I must say the robots can be really terrifying in a sense of, because they don't have really much feel to them. And the game can be so spooky and like a horror throughout its moments throughout the game, through its taking its comedic relief to the serious relief to just being a shooter at moments and stuff. So this game does a lot of different things at different times, which is kind of its strong suit, and at the same time not so much. And as you get kind of dropped in on this island, you pick up a first weapon and get a melee weapon. So there's melee, there's shooting, there's even moments where you can use stealth. So there's different ways to approach things as you fight and explore. And like I said, these robots can be quite terrifying, and especially you get more difficult enemy types than the simple robots, because they're kind of so relentless. They just keep going until you kind of destroy them completely, and which is quite terrifying at the same time if you look at it from that perspective. And I think it's a really cool design. Obviously they are robots and AI, so they don't have too much emotion to them, which really makes it kind of a really terrifying enemy type to fight. There's also different things in the environment, different animals you see and things like that. And as you go throughout the game, it has this complete terrifying feel of robots and things like that. And then all of a sudden the game changes in a way, because I remember this part that you go in and kind of figure out, you open this door and you kind of heard something, but there was nothing there. You look down and then this robot all of a sudden just attacks you. And it was very spooky and scary how just this robot is just coming at you relentlessly with no emotion, no anything. And then you kind of get saved with this babushka lady, which is really awesome, like this old lady that's complete badass. And I think it was such a funny moment, and I think this is where those few moments of real comedy really worked. And it's kind of my favorite part of this game, because it generally made me laugh. And it was just a moment, what is going on? This game is so weird on so many levels, to its design and everything, to downright just being funny and like what crazy moments over the top like this one.
You've been riding my ass for 2 days now. Take that. Eat shit and die. Shit. Come to Granny.
Where'd you get that thing?
No
Give it to
way.
me.
Those are kind of those moments that Atomic Heart will kind of offer at you and things like that. The exploring the game throughout the missions and finding resources for your upgrades, for your weapons, for your polymer gloves, so you have different weapons of freezing abilities, telekinesis jet and things like that. It's very important to explore so you can upgrade your arm, upgrade your weapons. It just makes it easier going through enemies and things like that. And I love those moments of exploration and things and different routes to kind of use a little bit in the mission this way to find this upgrade, unique blueprint and things like that. I think the design and where everything fits really well, what you're doing and kind of things, is that the pacing of that is really done well. And throughout the game, you have these safe rooms where you can save the game. There's no manual save. You just have to find these rooms, usually very close to in whichever level you're playing with. And that's kind of your safe room. If you played like Resident Evil, you know, like your safe room, no enemies or nothing can enter type of thing, and you can do your upgrades and things like that and save the game, which is cool. It kind of, I like that. I don't mind that at all, and it kind of just gives you a little bit of a breather and to set up where you want to go next. And my only real critique that I didn't like about this game is just kind of the way the combat works. It's not smooth, it's not fluent. I think the biggest thing is the dodge mechanic kind of really ruins and makes battles really frustrating sometimes when you get attacked by a bunch of robots. And the best thing I can suggest is upgrade that arm quickly as possible and fast as I can, so you can use like the freeze ability, shock ability and different things, because it does make dealing with robots and enemies a little bit better, because it can get frustrating. I just find out, maybe it's just me, just the dodging part of the game can get really frustrating. It's a little bit clunky and weird, the combat. You kind of got to sit and play it to feel it, kind of what's going on. But everything else, I don't have an issue with this game, in a sense of just, it kind of really makes it difficult to enjoy at certain points of the game. I don't want to spoil on certain boss fights and things like that. It's just the way you fight can be a little bit annoying. But the arm does make a big thing, and I think that is the emphasis of the game, what they were going on with. I don't want to say the combat is bad, that it's unplayable or there's some major flaws and issue. I think it's just a game choice design and things like that. But it's a little bit, if you played Stalker back in the day, it's not as smooth, as refined as you think. And it does, throughout its game, it keeps coming back, and it can be quite frustrating. And I think that is the biggest flaws I found with Atomic Heart, that just kind of hinders the gameplay and a little bit of the experience of the game when you kind of just want to play, but it's just a stupid kind of gimmick that doesn't really work too well. And luckily the game doesn't vary too much on combat, because there's a bunch of different puzzles to explore and things to unlock different rooms and kind of make you think and things like that what to do, which really breaks up also the pacing of the game. That isn't just running, shoot, do this, collect this item, jump through this. It kind of breaks up the game a little bit, and I love there's these little robotic and different, but all sorts of different puzzles, some similar with Laserdisc ones, then the ones that unlock different doors and things like that. And I think those really just breaks up the game a little bit and makes it more fun to do, take a breather and do something else. And you kind of technically got to approach each encounter. You're going to kind of realize that the dodge thing, like I said, is really kind of a problem. Maybe it's just me, but it's just really frustrating at times. You kind of have to think which way you approach battle and things like that. Healing items are there in the game to quite help. You collect resources, you can craft healing items and things like that, would make it really helpful and things like that in the game to make the experience a bit smoother. But yeah, the gameplay is really its biggest hinder for me, and it will kind of make it really difficult. But besides that, everything so far, I've really enjoyed this game, and through its length, through its entire campaign, you're looking at about 20 hours to finish the game, which isn't too long. Good story ending, nothing to brag about. And I think that's my final point of coming to Atomic Heart, is that it has its moments of like epicness, of cinematics. Oh my god, this is a crazy moment, and it's kind of really cool. To the story being really interesting. I think the world and the atmosphere is the most intriguing part of it. The combat, it is the worst part, and I think that hinders a lot in this game. I think a lot of people will find, just because there's so much to love here, to its really cool atmosphere moments in the game of feeling a little bit like a horror game, to its really interesting whole presentation to the world and the design and everything that makes it so interesting and fun to explore and kind of figure out what's going on. The levels are designed well. The combat is kind of its thing, that it's kind of an issue. And another thing of just the game being just a little bit all over the place. It kind of doesn't stick to it. It follows a little bit of Bioshock and Wolfenstein, a little bit of Fallout with upgrades. And I love that concept of having a bunch of different mixtures of different things in the game. But I think it's kind of, in my opinion, that really sometimes hinders a little bit this game is through its story, through its elements, through kind of the experience. It's a really fun and really cool experience. But it just left me a little bit feeling, where am I a little bit with this game? Is it too serious? Is it not really? Then there's these kind of comedic reliefs which kind of can be cringy a little bit a lot of the times, and a little bit forced down your throat with the comedic part. Then you can have these weird horror atmosphere. And I think for a game that's really cool and the design is really awesome, it's a really fun experience. But trying to do too many things and kind of sticking a little bit of niching it down to one specific way the game should feel and play through would make it a little bit of a better experience. Is it a bad experience? Absolutely not. And do I recommend this game? 100%. Especially through Game Pass. Go and play it. Try it out. I think everyone will have a little bit of a different experience with this game, because it is very unique, even though it does borrow a few things from different games. So let me know in the comments, what did you guys think? Have you played Atomic Heart? What do you guys think of it? Do you really love it? And there's so much to enjoy here. And thank you guys again for watching. I hope you liked this video. Like and subscribe, it does really help. And I'll see you guys all in the next one.